Here's what you do. Start where you can and work toward it. 70-10, 10 and 10 is the ideal. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to lose weight or to get your health in order or to get your finances in order. Here's the key. Set up the ideal and work toward it. Set up the ideal and work toward it. Next in building your financial independence is to keep strict accounts. Don't let yourself or anyone else talk you out of keeping strict accounts. You've got to know exactly where it comes from. You've got to know exactly where it's all going. Don't fall into the I don't know where it all goes trap. Don't fall into that. It just gets away from me. No, keep strict accounts. It's much easier than it used to be with personal computers and so many households and the software that's readily available. It's as easy as entering your deposits and checks and receipts, and the computer will tell you exactly where you stand. And it does more than that. If you're really wondering where it all goes, the computer will tell you that, too. Most of the programs let you categorize your expenditures. Print it out, and you'll know exactly by category where it all goes. And when it's right there in front of you, you'll be able to evaluate what you're buying and what you're wasting. Take that wasting part and add it to one of your capital funds. It'll get you there that much faster. And here's another part of building your financial independence. It's a matter of attitude. First is philosophy about money. Second is attitude about money. Here's the best attitude. All of us must pay for democracy and freedom and free enterprise and a marketplace and a country second to none with gifts brought here from all over the world. I finally became a happy taxpayer. Once I was educated. You say, well, they misuse it. What do you care? That's not going to make any difference in your future, is it? That's not going to greatly reduce your chances to become rich and powerful. It shouldn't make any difference at all whether they misuse it or not. Sure, we need to vote well so the country is run as well as possible, and there's as level a playing field as possible, but what if there isn't? I'm telling you, you can't base your life on that. Vote well and then chart your own course. Vote well and take charge of your own life. We've all got to pay. And after you pay your taxes, pay yourself first. Take care of the 30% first. Or whatever percentage you can start your plan with. Take care of the stuff off the top first. And learn to live off the rest. Make your investments, whatever size they are, before you pay your bills. Give to charity before you buy the extra things you want. A man I know has an MBA from Harvard and an engineering degree from MIT. Smart guy. Semi-retired now and doing what he likes best, teaching. He teaches college courses in economics and business planning. But when he teaches economics, he also teaches personal economics. This is what he starts his classes with. Decide how you want to live now versus how long you want to work. Decide how you want to live now versus how long you want to work. This means if you want to spend everything you make now, you'll have to work longer and harder. If you spend everything you make now, you'll have no choice but to work longer and harder. But if you start investing in your financial future now, you'll have the choice between retiring early or traveling more or continuing your career or starting a new career later in life. Once again, it all comes down to choices. Think tomorrow today and live better tomorrow. Here's the next thing to think of when you're planning your economic future. Be careful with your credit cards. Selling money is big business. You probably get invitations in the mail to sign up for a new credit card a couple of times a month. Having some credit cards is important, especially if you travel. It's safer than cash. It's easier to track than cash. But be careful. I know that's hard. When you buy something with a little piece of plastic, you don't feel the effect until you get the bill. So make sure that whatever you buy, you're still happy with your purchase after you get the bill. And be careful with credit. It's the easiest way to get into debt. Go into debt strategically, not habitually. If your business is high risk, if you're an entrepreneur whose career requires a great deal of risk and a great deal of strategic debt, keep the debt in your business and out of your personal life. I know this one's hard too, because for most entrepreneurs looking for capital, the lender requires you guarantee the debt personally. So plan your debt just as you plan your fortune. Here's another point to remember in becoming financially independent. It's hard to get rich fast. It's easy to get rich slowly. 70, 10, 10, and 10, or whatever percentages you're working with. It doesn't happen overnight. With conservative investments, it takes a while. It takes discipline to keep adding value to your future. A little every month, a little every month, a little every month. It takes time to build your fortune, your financial independence. There's a saying about investing, time, not timing. The saying says time, it takes time. Now, if playing the stock market is what you do, then you know that timing is a whole other ball game. But for the average person, it's time. A study was done a while back that analyzed stock market investments. The study took two scenarios into consideration. The first one took place over 40 years. In the first scenario, stocks were bought at the very worst possible time and sold at the very worst possible time. Bought high and sold low. And after 40 years, the average return was around 10%. Scenario 1 dealt with time. Now, in the second scenario, stocks were analyzed over a 10-year period. The second scenario dealt with timing. Stocks were purchased at the best possible time and sold at the best possible time. After 10 years, the average return was around 10%. Be patient in building your financial independence. It will come small steps at a time, little advantages after little advantages. It's hard to be patient, but it's just like building your ambition and achieving your goals. It happens one step at a time. And what if patience has nothing to do with building financial independence? What about those trust fund babies that are handed their financial independence on a silver platter, never having to work a day in their lives? First car is a Porsche. First house is a mansion. First job is at daddy's company. What about those people born rich? Some guy says, "It isn't fair that I'm working like crazy all day, all week, all month, all my life. It just isn't fair. I'll never have that kind of money." Well, some things aren't fair. Inheriting money. But what does that have to do with you, really? If your goal is to have greater financial independence than some of those you know, then you'd better start working harder and smarter on your goals, your own visions, and stop pondering what's fair and what isn't. Start examining what's keeping you back instead of what's keeping them ahead. Start looking at what you're doing. Start looking at you instead of it. There are plenty of stories and examples and experiences of people who began their careers destitute and had enough resolve to do it until they had more than they ever dreamed of. Study the experiences of others who built their way to the top instead of those who were born there. And what if you decided you had to be rich? What if you really followed the power of your ambition and your life started turning around? Well, aside from getting on the right track, increasing your earning potential, decreasing the percent you spend, increasing the percent you save, invest, give away, aside from all the benefits of achieving, there will also come some disappointments. Disappointments in the circle of friends you started with. One of the disappointments that come from achieving all you can be is in the people who choose to remain right where they are. They will chastise you for your accomplishments. They will abandon you for trying to become better. They will remain behind and say, "Boy, he's forgotten us now that he lives so well." And they'll probably say more than that. They'll probably gather in their little group and say all sorts of things to justify their own mediocrity. But remember, those who choose to stay behind have chosen their own path, an average path, a path of mediocrity. And those who have climbed above the crowd almost always wish they could return to their earlier friends, to embrace them in friendship and love, and try to help them get out of their ruts, to share ideas of hope and inspiration. But it rarely happens. Jealousy builds a big wall, one that is almost impossible to break down. So as you change, your life will change, your friends will change, your circle of influence will change. And that's part of achievement and ambition and success, an ever-changing process required to become the person worthy of reaching your goals. There are many reasons why people don't build their ambition, strive to become better, be the best they can. Many reasons, but it only takes one. We talked about many fears in an earlier session and how to work to overcome them. But here's one we didn't talk about: risk. Different professions call for different levels of risk. There's an old saying, no risk, no reward. Maybe that's the case in life, I don't know. It's a personal decision, one you have to make, regarding how much risk you're comfortable in taking with your life and your future and your money. It's a personal decision. What I do know is that there are different types of ambition, different types, and each has its own reward. The ambitions of a salesperson are different than the ambitions of a manager. The ambitions of a manager or an executive are different than the ambitions of an entrepreneur. The ambitions of an entrepreneur are different than the ambitions of an artist or a scientist or a teacher. With different levels of ambition come different levels of risk and different levels of reward. Salespeople are probably more able to handle risk than managers and professionals. And the higher the risk, the higher the earning potential. Entrepreneurs are probably even more risk-oriented. They have to be. An entrepreneur's ambition must overpower the risk of losing it all in an attempt to gain their dream. Your level of ambition may or may not be equated with your ability to take on risk. Most people can't deal with so much failure to reach success. There are only a few people, even among the most ambitious, that have the tenacity, intestinal fortitude, tolerance level to follow a risky ambition. Whatever the level of ambition, whatever the level of risk, there must always be the discipline to overcome the failures and see the end result. To keep trying until. Jonas Salk kept working through his failures until he developed the polio vaccine. Whatever your level of ambition, keep doing it until you get there. The riskier the ambition, the greater need for stability in your personal life. If you've got everything on the line in your business, you'll want to make sure everything is in line at home. John D. Rockefeller was very frugal in his personal habits, but he was willing to take risks, big risks, with investments and debts, risks that made his colleagues shudder. So as you're developing your own plan for financial independence, as you're working toward the ideal of living off of 70% of what you make, remember the first step is to define a plan. It may not be ideal, but you're taking the first steps. And when you follow your plan, the money you put away today will help you build your financial independence tomorrow. And with financial independence, the result of your ambition, the reward of your ambition, With financial independence comes freedom like you've never known before. Freedom and options. To live where you want to live, to do what you want to do, to go where you want to go, to drive what you want to drive, to support the causes you want to support. With financial independence comes the freedom of choice. It's okay to be rich. It's okay to be wealthy. It's okay to be successful, as long as it's at the service of others, not at their expense. Success is the steady progress toward your own personal goals. Goals designed by you with a plan implemented by you. Your goals, your philosophy, your plan. So if success is the steady progress toward your own personal goals, what then is failure? Is failure working on a project that ended with poor results? No, of course not. Is failure launching a new product that failed miserably in the marketplace? No, of course not. Is failure doing the best you possibly can with your kids and having them disappoint you in a very personal way? No, of course not. There's no failure in pouring your heart and soul and energy into something that didn't work. Rather, failure is not trying at all. If success is the steady progress toward your own personal goals, then failure is no progress at all. None. Not even trying. Success and failure are always linked together. Success and failure are always linked to ambition. And let's remember, success is doing, failure is not doing. It's that simple. Tom Peters, world-renowned author and management expert, said recently, "There is only one way to be in serious trouble today, and that is not to be trying, not to be failing, not to be stretching yourself. Success is a doing. You've got to actually do it. Activity is high priority in the life process to try and get maximum benefit out of what we have available, our resources, our skills, our knowledge, and our talents. Success is a doing that tries to get maximum benefit out of what we have available." Benjamin Disraeli, former Prime Minister of England, once said, "Nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on its purpose." I'll do it or die. What a powerful set of words. We've already talked about resolve, doing it until, but here's what else resolve says. Resolve says, "I will." Two of the most powerful words in our language. The formula for disaster: could, should, don't. Here's the formula for fortune: could, should, will. Could, should, will. I will, I should, I can, and I will. Two of the most powerful words in the language. I will. The man says, "I will climb the mountain." They say it's too high, it's too difficult, it's too rocky, it's never been done before. The man says, "Hey, it's my mountain, I'll climb it." Pretty soon you'll see me waving from the top, or dead on the side, because I'm not coming back until I've done it. Powerful. There are several studies that show the greatest achievers aren't those who fail the least. No, the greatest achievers are those least frightened of failure. They're willing to take on the challenge without the guarantee of success, seeing the end but not sure when it will be or where it will be. Although success and failure go hand in hand, many people have a problem with failure. They think it's a bad word, has a bad connotation. They don't see it as a stepping stone. They see it as an end result. Quite often, success requires failure, sometimes many failures. In every scientific discovery, there were dozens or hundreds of failures before one success. Without failure, Opportunity cannot be created. Without failure, there can be no success. But what is the measure of success? How do you know if you're successful, really successful? How do you know, especially when your success could be so vastly different from someone else's success? Here's how you measure. Results. Making measurable progress in reasonable time. That's all life asks. Making measurable progress in reasonable time. So you've got to be reasonable with time. Don't be unreasonable with time, parents. Don't be unreasonable with time, managers, brokers, business associates. Have a little patience. You can't ask somebody every 5 minutes, "How are you doing now?" That's too soon. The guy says, "I haven't left the building yet. Give me a break." So 5 minutes is too soon to ask. So 5 years is what? Too long and too late. So what is reasonable time to ask for results as a measure of progress? Here's number 1. At the end of the day. You can't let more than a day go by without getting some things done, some letters written, having a conversation with your son or daughter. You can't postpone the important more than a day. When you work on the job, there are some things you've got to get done within a day. You've got to make some calls within a day. Your health disciplines, you've got to get those done within a day. You can't carry over. You can't say, "Well, I'll eat 9 apples 10 days from now." No, it's an apple a day. A day. Some things you've got to get done within a day. So at 5 minutes to midnight and you haven't gotten your apple in yet, munch away and get it done. A day. Here's what's next. A week. Some things you've got to get done within a week. Stuff on the job, calls made, activities. A week is a good chunk of time. Can't let more than a week go by without taking a look and a measure to see how you're doing. John joins this little sales company. He's supposed to make 10 calls the first week, just to get acquainted out there in the marketplace. Would it be legitimate to call John in on Friday and say what? "How many calls did you make?" That's legitimate. It's legitimate time to ask for a measurable amount of progress. He's supposed to make 10 calls. Come Friday, how many calls did you make? John says, "Well," you say, "John, well won't fit in my little box here. I just need a number." Now John starts with a story. You say, "John, the reason I made this little box so small is so a story won't fit. I don't need a story. I just need a number." Now here's one of the better phrases to take home. The numbers tell us the whole story. On you personally, the numbers tell us the whole story. Success is a numbers game. There are 3 important questions to ask yourself in this area. Here's number 1. How much money have you saved and invested during your career? Second question. In the last 90 days, how many books have you read? To invest in the miracle of your mind, give you ideas to ponder, fashion your future with meticulous care. How many books have you read in the last 90 days? Third question. In the last 6 months, how many classes have you taken to improve your skills or to develop new skills for your future and your family? How many classes in the last 6 months? I'm telling you, numbers tell us everything. Success is a numbers game. You've got to make progress. You've got to make progress in reasonable time. You've got to take a look at the numbers and see how you're doing. It's the name of the game. How often should you weigh the new baby? Well, you say, "I'll weigh the new baby next spring." No, you can't wait until next spring. Don't you have to weigh the new baby often? And the answer is yes, of course. To see what? To see whether it's gaining weight or it's losing weight. What if it's losing weight? The alarm bells have got to go off. You can't let a little baby lose weight very long. It's called disaster. These numbers are important. How often should you check the corporation to see if it's healthy or not? You say, well, in a couple of years, we'll get all the accountants together. No, you'll be out of business. In Las Vegas, the big gambling houses, guess how often they put together a financial statement to see where they are? Several times a day. Why? So much is happening. If you don't learn when to shut down some of those tables, you'll be out of business by midnight. You can't wait till midnight. You can't wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow's too late. You've got to know the numbers. What is your cholesterol count? You don't know and you don't care? You've just got your fingers crossed for the future? We'd better come and get your family and take them to safety. Come on, be responsible for the set of your own sail. Leave it to no one else but yourself, and learn to refine these numbers for yourself. How many pounds overweight should you be at age 50? John says, well, I've got big bones. Well, we'll give you 10 pounds for big bones, but hey, 25, 30 pounds? And we've got to turn on the caution light at home and at the office.